Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm so excited to show you how to make a no-bake mermaid cheesecake. Now, by mermaid, I mean if I was a mermaid and it was my birthday, this is the kind of beautiful blue cake I would want. But also the plot twist here is that there is no cheese. This cake is dairy-free, gluten-free, and refined sugar-free. So it's a really healthy, fun, and actually surprisingly easy to make snack that you can make ahead of time for yourself or for the kids. To achieve the really beautiful mystical blue color, we're going to be using BLUE Spirulina here by Morlife. Now, this is one of my favorite superfoods to use. It's an incredible source of plant-based protein. It's also super rich in vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, and is a great way to detox the body. The other thing that I love about BLUE Spirulina is that it's virtually tasteless and doesn't have a really nasty odor that you'll find regular spirulina does, so it's not going to affect the quality or the taste of whatever you put it in. So the options are essentially endless to make magical blue food. But today we're making a cheesecake, so let's get started. I will have a full list of all the ingredients in the description, so you can make a checklist of what you need to get as well. So I'm going to start by making the base. Now, what you're going to need, what I like doing is using a loaf tin. And so you want to line this with baking paper. A loaf tin is just really easy to fit into your freezer, especially if you're just at home and you only have a small freezer. Instead of worrying about a big cake tin, just use a loaf tin. For the base, we're going to be using a mixture of ground almonds, coconut, and also some dates. Now, you can use medjool dates, but if medjool dates are out of your price range, just regular pantry dates will be fine. Just check that if they're too hard, you'll want to soak them in a little bit of boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes and then drain them. This will soften them and make them a lot easier to blend. We're going to make the base today in a blender. You can also use a food processor, but I like using the blender because we'll also use the blender for the filling. So you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. What we're going to do is we're going to add the dry ingredients first. So we have our almonds, desiccated coconut. You could use coconut flakes, but I personally prefer the texture of desiccated coconut, and it means you don't need to blend it as much. And then we're also going to add our dates. These ones were soft enough, so I didn't need to soak them. And we're also going to add a little bit of coconut oil. So you really only need a teaspoon of coconut oil in here. This is just going to help the dough to bind together and make it a little easier to work with when you are pressing it into the pan. Pop your lid on, and then you just want to pulse this a few times until it binds together into a dough. Don't over blend it, otherwise it's just going to become really messy to work with and you might have a hard time getting it out of the base. Once that's blended, you want to put this into your pan, and you want it to just bunch together when you grab it. So you don't want it too dry and you don't want it too wet. If it is a little too dry, you can just add a tiny bit of water and this will help it stick together. When pressing it into the pan, I like to put a little bit of water or even a little bit of coconut oil on my hands. This will stop it sticking and makes it a lot easier to work with as well. Once we have pressed our base into the pan, we're going to move on to the filling. So I've given the blender a little rinse, and we're going to be starting off with some soaked cashews. So the cashews I've soaked for around 2 to 3 hours. This just helps soften them and makes them a lot easier to blend. It also helps them to become a little bit easier to digest. So next up, we're going to be adding some plant-based milk. Today I'm using coconut milk. I enjoy coconut milk because it's nice and creamy, but you could use oat milk or almond milk as well. We're going to be adding our sweetener. So I like using either maple syrup or coconut nectar. You can use whichever sweetener you feel you enjoy the most, but these ones have a really nice taste to them. So next up, we're going to be adding something to help the cake set. In this case, I'm using melted coconut oil, but you could also use cacao butter for a more of a white chocolate taste, or coconut butter as well if you want it super creamy. We'll be adding a little bit of flavour in terms of vanilla bean extract. By adding a little bit of lemon, we're going to help the flavours just come to life as well. So you could do 1 lemon, you could do more if you wanted it quite citrusy, but today we're just going to use 1. So we're not going to add the BLUE Spirulina just yet, we're going to hold off on that. So we're going to give this a blend, make it nice and smooth. Once that's blended, the key here is we're going to separate a little bit, if I can get the lid off, we're going to separate a little bit out of this just plain cream mixture before we add the BLUE Spirulina. So separate roughly half a cup. And you're just gonna stick this aside. Here comes the fun part. We're gonna add the BLUE Spirulina. It's such an awesome color. It's so vibrant. I'm so excited. And that goes. You don't need much, like a little goes a long way. And it really depends, I suppose, how blue you want it. The options are endless. We're then gonna add the lid back on and we're gonna give it a blend. So we're gonna take our spatula and you're gonna pour the blue mixture on top of the base. I love it, I love it, I love it. Great, so once that's on there, then we're going to add the cream mixture. So the theory here is that we're creating a marbled effect, so it's gonna look like the ocean or clouds, whichever way you want to look at it. Haphazardly splot the cream mixture around. I'm gonna use a spoon for this, I think, because it's gonna make it nicer. Get your trusty spoon, and then you're just gonna gently swirl the mixture through until you have a beautiful, mesmerizing mermaid pattern. So this is now done and dusted. Give it a wee smack and a shake to get out any air bubbles. And you're gonna pop this into the freezer for 3 to 4 hours or overnight until it is firm to the touch. Thanks to the magical powers of television. Here's one I prepared earlier. So this has been in the freezer for around 4 hours. It's nice and firm to the touch. I've just pulled it out of the loaf tin. And so depending on how firm it is, you just want to let it sit for around 10 to 15 minutes to soften before you slice it. Lastly, we want to decorate them to give them a little pizzazz. I'm going to keep it really simple. I love using freeze-dried fruit or dried flower petals on my cakes. It just makes them look so extra and fancy. Today we're going to use freeze-dried strawberries because I feel like the pink is going to contrast so nicely with the blue. And we're done. That's how easy it is to make raw slices and raw treats. So with this one, you can enjoy this straight away or pop it in the fridge to enjoy later in the day. However, if you'd like to enjoy this another day, please freeze these. They freeze really well. They'll freeze for up to 2 months. So you can just take a slice out as you need or as you need treats and they're ready to go. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to cook with you and I'll be really excited to do more of these. It's a pleasure to share my knowledge and my passion for health and wellness and to show you how to get creative in the kitchen. So thanks so much and we'll see you soon. Bye.